Hello and welcome. Today's date is that of Saturday, 26th of October, 2019. My name is Derek. Like always, all bets, trades, and of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. Alrighty then. Well, this is the Bitcoin run that has happened. Looking at this with many periods on the 4 minute term time frame. Rally starting here, reaching a key top. So far, since the top, we've had a little bit of a decline, a little bit of curvature or downward trend, and a big level of current resistance that it's playing with so far. Okay, so let's take a look at this now on some other time frames. First, the daily chart, which has a nice went up there big and has pulled back intensively, and failed move guaranteed. It's just which one is it going to be? And I've talked yesterday about the keys of all of them. Well, here's the one in the spot where it's managed to have this already have its fast move. Now it's got to correct this. So if this is to succeed, well, the must hold area, we're going to see mathematically it is in this area. That's where it is. It's still above that point right now. And by having this correction, when we look at this later on, if rallies come into play, we've already established this is a key level. Really, not much more outside of that. There's this, and this, but it's got to get above this 18, do things to correct the shorter term. But when you do so, price action is in this area. You realize, okay, we could reestablish this further. Oftentimes, you probably will. But then if you break it big, okay, this could be a fun time for the Bulls and not so much time for the Bears on that situation. But you still have to give the prospect, if this is a failed breakout, then that move to 6,300 is like, well, you're going to hope that's at on a bullish level. You hope that it doesn't do much more damage than that. And now, what's the probability this is going to be the failed breakdown, and we're going to correct this successfully, thus get above this, get to 13, all that type of stuff? Or what happened yesterday and the day before, or pretty much yesterday throughout, was that real or not? And we'll see in time. So, as far as some Fibonacci is concerned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work it within, like, what's the kilos I want to do, and I'm going to use this low in here. We have a low in at 72.94. I'm just going to verify that's the one I want to use, and I'm going to do so within the three. Yep. So we're going to be up 72.94. Bring up my Fibonacci calculator. And then we're going to now take a look at the high. What's the number on it? We have 10,350. So high divided by low. So 10,350 divided by 72.94. To the root of these four numbers, multiply the low again, becomes this. The up target is 1.618 or 161.8%, and the down target is negative 61.8%. I'm going to be looking at the key ones of 76, 68.1, and 638.2. So the 95.30 level, let's put in that line, and we'll put the next one in, and that comes in at which is a 61.8, representing 38% down, 9,055. And then the must hold area, which is the 61% down retracement. And then we can see that comes in where we came from at the 8,337 handle. And we already can see we've had some support there. So we know if this area doesn't give in, then we'll be looking to make a move in towards this area here. I'm just going to place this a bit further back on here. here. Why is my 7 not working? There it is. And there we have some lines. So we can see the line matches up within that. If we take a look at this, say, on the 15-minute term time frame, when it came down to it, it found support there at 2300 hours yesterday. It rallied up just about a 23.6% correction from this low to this high, and then spending a little bit of time there breaking down there after 3:30 in the morning, resisting it for a little while, and then supporting it right there at 5:30. Unable to resist where we came from. Microscopic failed breakout, nothing too big, but really not really anything of a failed move either. Just more continuation of a second and a third support test within this 9,000 mark. The second support test really never had much of an attempt to end the downtrend, let alone start an uptrend. The third one has. It ended the downtrend really between 1630 and 1700 hours, and from 1715 on, right now it's 1825, or over the last 4 periods, it is attempting to resume or revert this trend, depending on how you want to look at it. Of course, a long, long, long ways to go. And by looking at Fibonacci, I'm going to have to see at least some sustainability above the 9,530 on the short-term time frame to say that the move that occurred yesterday is back in play. So therefore, if this doesn't hold, concise move to 8,337 is where I would expect this to go to. And we can see just how big that level was, as it was first resistance at September the 28th. It was last resistance at around October 21st, 22nd. So that was about a full month that has been within this range. So coming back and supporting where we came from is a bullish thing that most certainly could be the case. And whether it goes down or up from here to the next point, I'm not going to try to guess, because overall within these short-term moves, for me it's all about journey destination. And my job is to predict the destination and not the journey. And the destination is over the long-term time frame. For me, cryptocurrencies, like especially that of Bitcoin, is going to do well and increase in value against the fiat currencies. Furthermore, on destination is that altcoins are going to do its thing that I've talked about, and are going to do well as far as have its times when it goes up and all those kind of natures. And within the strategy, the destination with that, as I mentioned, should be able to have very, very good moves. And the journey, of course, is a lot of times, okay, how do we get there along the way? Do we go here first, there first? Is it going to be bullish over the next day or two? And you know what? A lot of times I really don't care. Switching over to the dominance of Bitcoin. And here we had this long, long, long slow downtrend, along because September 15th to this low is about a month and 3/4, over a month and a half. We'll say a month and a half even. Of one, two, at least 3 or 4 lower highs, at least three, and then 1, 2, 3, all these lower lows, and then this high has gotten above the lower one of October 21st. It's gotten above the lower of October 10th. It's gotten above the just a little bit of, we'll say the high even here on September 29th, which wasn't much. Still hasn't gotten above the one on September the 24th. So as this plays out, of course, this has been in that long, long uptrend. And it's, as far as getting below this lower low, yes, it did. As far as getting below this one, didn't even test it. So it's only managed to get it below one of these. And now you have the situation of key low, we have this key high. There's no guarantee it's going to get above it, but it most certainly can. And when you see action barely above it, that's when you know it's probably going to have another leg higher there after that. And if you see that you've had some sort of attempt in moving this higher within the short downtrend and it fails, it's now well above it. I'm always going to look at the 18 lows to tell me that's the case, but that's just early assumptions at this stage. And then you'd go with the whole failed move, fast move sort of analysis. But this has managed to go on as Bitcoin has had tremendous movements. And as I've been stating throughout a lot of this year, we could see that this not go down or not have altcoins have big moves until Bitcoin gets past 20,000. Well, that would just be very similar to the way it was with Bitcoin in the last correctionary phase when altcoins never did good until Bitcoin got above its previous high. Meaning, let's go back to Bitcoin and we'll take a look at this on the monthly chart. So we had this high back in here in with that time frame, and then right in here, like March, right as this point was going on, that's when the altcoins really had its amazing move. So Bitcoin went up from 1 to 17, which so underperformed how the altcoins did. Will something like that happen again? We'll see in time. But anyway, let's move on to that of GoChain. And on the daily chart, as I mentioned in here, every single time, but the first one, whenever the daily chart did this, had a significant move below the 18 low after it was in some sort of uptrend before. It usually has another decent movement lower. This one is no exception, as the price says, even though it's went below it, it has went and is at its lower end of the range. It was at about 137. Now it's at 88. Significant, decent sized declines. On the 15-minute time frame, this thing went from 100 down to like 78. It lost like 20 plus percent of its value at one time. Now everything was pretty much going down like this. But what makes these coins very interesting is that when it does this and everything's down 20%, that can make very good ratio flips. And in this case, no exception. To the point where if this thing could have any type of move to go to above 96 right now, which is why I got an alert in here, and I think breaking this level of resistance it could, obviously isn't doing so, then that would give me a very, very good situation to be able to make a trade. And I'll do such, but it hasn't done it, and I'm just reacting to whatever the situation may come into play. Theta. I put this alert in yesterday. No need to change it. I'm still waiting. If I can get above this level of resistance, I figure if it's around here, then I can start to think, okay, I'll start selling. Maybe even around here might be a better place, but this thing's back over 1,000 after not that long ago. It had this, we'll call it a failed breakout now, as the price action got above this key level of resistance, is now back into this conjunctionary phase. If that's the case, maybe it has a move in here. And if it does, I'll just react to that situation. And it wouldn't surprise me if it did either. It wouldn't surprise me if it did or did not. Either way, if it does, most likely the case on this is a good chance maybe Bitcoin dominance is doing well. And I'm just going to play the game as it is, realizing that when I take a look at these coins, how they're priced in US dollars, that tells me whether we're in accumulation distribution mode. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But I'll just do what I'm supposed to do, meaning whenever the ratios tell me to do, and if this goes down with other coins not going down as much, then it's buybacks. I'm getting some of the buybacks now because this was all selling opportunities in here, and it was. I sold majority. This is selling of Theta. Now we're back in this range. It's buy. If you're trading this via Bitcoin, that meant getting sales up to in the 1200s. And when you go from 1250 to 1,000, that's 1/5. That's a 20% reduction. So there's whatever profits you could make based on whichever strategies you are doing it. And yeah, take a look at let's take a look at a different coin, however, against the U.S. dollar, because I want to take a look at something that participated in the 2017 rally. So I'll choose GRS, and right now the coin is 19 cents. We'll say close to 20, but really in a range of 23 down to like 16. Oh, before was in a range of 48 and 32. And then occasionally you get these moves. The last big move like this occurred in March. So it's been that of 7+ months, close to 8. This thing went up from 23 cents to 73. Looking at this on the 3-day chart, well, it's holding a lot of this move. So therefore, this thing has been a good duration of time. Now we're looking at what's nearing that of 2 years since this high. Price has had a little bit of this extra support, so the more often you test these support areas, the more likely it is you take it out. So having it hit like this, you got to think is what's in play. And the fact that I'm drawing a line here, which is really just a diddly ass small move when you think about it, and filling empty space from this low, just filling that, meaning this could be more accurate, going to like 2.5, 3 cents. The fact that a 5, 6x loss is just, man, just a normal rivalry correction. It could be both bullish or bearish, is another way of pointing it out, is the nature of the extreme volatility. But given the fact that the market prices have been going lower, and we've been in this stage, I look at this as an accumulation stage for the coins. And maybe this isn't the greatest in here, but you can see before it had a level of resistance up at this level here. And then all of this happened, which to me means, as far as that of accumulation, neutrality, and distribution, accumulation is where you're looking to try to enter into positions, and within such, that's mainly buying. And then when you break resistance, that means accumulation phase ends and you have to move into neutrality when you make new high. And then after you've had at least a decent sized leg higher, you have to start distribution, which you could say you can start distribution at this high. And on any one of these legs higher, what that can mean, at least as far as me as a ratio trader, that would mean trading altcoins. Like normally, if I'm trading any coin, it's like against whatever. Say with GRS, I'm trading it against LITECOIN. I'm also trading against DGB. So I'll do my normal flipping them back and forth here and there. But when situations like this occur, now it's going to be taking some of those and selling it off to Bitcoin. Really, that's it, because I'll do other things. Maybe at the same point, Cosmos is going up, and a lot of times it would be like this, and it was then. So I'll sell Cosmos for Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. And then from that Bitcoin, when you're into distribution mode, what do you do with Bitcoin? Well, you put that Bitcoin in just to hold it, to buy them back when they go lower, at least priced in the own coins, because normally when this is happening, well, it's going up against Bitcoin as well. And that's why you want to look at those together. And then, of course, in that situation, price goes down against it. I can maybe take 40% of what I took, and I could buy it all back, maybe 30, 40%, because I'm waiting for a move of more than a 50% decline. And they'd happen in this business because it's major volatility. Also, that Bitcoin would be used to turn into dollars, like gold, silver, and other miscellaneous things at that point. So that, to me, is how I look at that, as distribution, accumulation, and such. And if we take a look at, say, let's look at Litecoin against the dollar. It was over 60 yesterday, I think, and then it was 1.300 down to 20 here, back $5 down here, or $4. Big volatility. So in this situation in here, same sort of either failed breakout, failed breakdown, as was in play before. This rally yesterday, unable to come to this key 71 level. At least if it's going to, it could still possibly do it after now it's came back to its support level. But in viewing all of this, you can see how when you're moving into distribution mode, well, accumulation mode now, after it's been to 22, to me it would remain in accumulation mode below 380. And then neutrality up to about like 1,000, 1,200, 1,400. Then you start distribution or somewhere after that. At least that's how my plan is at this point. Again, journey versus destination. If the destination doesn't happen and those numbers don't come into play and it's over for it, well, then you lose in the bet. But if it happens along the way, then I know when I'm trading this against which and whatever else after that, that whatever other coin will sometimes have a moment in the sun on whatever amount of days. It could be like we've seen with Theta having its move to 1,300, but even on a bigger, grander scale. You could have situations where maybe this thing gets going in maybe 141 days from now. But on day number 107 through 126, this other coin really got going. I accumulated Litecoin and whatever. I'll just react to it and then just do the mathematics and the risk reward management on a continuous basis. And finally, gold against Bitcoin. Well, something like that. Take care.